Woke TikTok reaction time. Definitely creative. I'm loving the creativity. Words are significant but not important. What I mean by that is it going?
That the gender binary was easy.
She's got
it isn't.
Quite the energy.
I get it. The discussion of the gender spectrum.
That's just combining them and him. Them.
What's conscious? This is Vish, and today I'll be responding to Woke TikToks Part 1. The exact title for this video, it's from YouTube. It's called Insane Woke TikToks That Will Make You Cringe. I'm an aspiring yogi, and I've been meditating for over 4 years now. Love all things yoga, meditation, and wisdom-based. So I'm super excited for you to be here, and I'm just grateful for this present moment. And before we start, what are your thoughts on the woke movement and wokeness as it's been viewed? Comment that down below. Would love to hear your views on the wokeness. With that, let's get straight into the video.
Nobody needs you to advocate for how difficult it is to use gender-neutral pronouns. Nobody said that the gender binary was easy. These are not my preferred pronouns. These are my pronouns. You will use them, or you will not refer to me at all. If you misgender me by mistake, fix it and move on. I don't need your elaborate apology. I don't care how many times you say sorry. Just don't do it again. Moreover, if someone else misgenders me, it is never your job to tell them that it's okay.
She's got
it isn't.
Quite the energy.
I get it. The discussion of the gender spectrum confuses you, and that's fine. But if you don't know anything about it, don't f***ing speak on it.
There are non-binary people. There are trans men.
All right, real quick. That was quite interesting. Really in your face type of stuff. Whether I agree or disagree with it is not the point here. I'm here just to share, I guess, the view that I have with the spiritual background that I have. And yeah, I don't know if I would consider these things to be necessarily woke. Now, before you get upset and you come after me, you consider myself not open-minded, I want to let you know that, at least from what I've realized, and again, I'm open to criticisms. If you disagree with what I'm saying, comment down below. I would love to hear. The key here is not about what you're doing. Whether you're raising awareness about your gender pronouns, or whether you are raising funds for volunteering efforts, or whether you are even just working for like a big corporate company, that isn't the point. That doesn't matter. It comes down to how you do something. How much ego do you have with what you're saying? I think the how really matters, because in fact a lot of the times a lot of these good intentioned movements tend to kind of be covered and fogged up with just unconsciousness in terms of how it's shared and the messages brought the light into the world, and as a result people can't look past that. It's almost like the unconscious versus the unconscious, and it's overriding the quote-unquote conscious goal that they had, whatever that means. Anyways, before saying too much, let's get back into it and see what else people have to say about these gender pronoun stuff.
Who lactate. There are those who go by he, him, different pronouns. It's just inclusive to everybody. It is not hurting cis women to say chest feeding, but it does hurt those who go by other pronouns to continue to say breastfeeding, especially if they have body dysmorphia.
What's something you own that you don't ever plan on using?
My uterus, because and I mean this with all disrespect, them kids.
Cupiosexual people may decide to have a sexual relationship despite not feeling sexual attraction while others don't. Both are completely valid and communication is key.
What are your preferred pronouns? They, them. Oh, I've never heard those before. What are they? They're what's known as neopronouns. What are neopronouns? They're basically your own custom pronouns. When no other pronouns seem to fit, you come up with your own pronouns. Anything can really be a pronoun. Oh, how do I use them? It depends on the person and their pronouns. They, them follows a similar spelling to they and them, and even similar grammar rules like there and there. So they, them, themselves,
this
theirs.
Is quite interesting.
Things like
also,
that. Oh, okay. And there
My
are
facial
other
expressions are
neopronouns,
really
you said?
just
well, yeah, because they're customizable.
because
Anything
of
can be a
the
pronoun,
newness
really.
of this.
Oh,
I
I
am
didn't
just not aware of
realize
this stuff, so
that
it's
you
quite
can
new to
customize
me.
your own pronouns.
So don't mind
That's
it, and
pretty
I
cool.
would appreciate no judgment.
Hi, I'm Jax, and I just came up with new neopronouns that combine he, him, she, her, and they, them, okay? So hear me out. They, them, theirs, okay? They, them, their, whatever you want to consider it, right? Let's take the first one, the, okay? This combines she, he, and they, right? They. The. That's what they said, you know? That's what they said. Next, we got them, right? Okay, so them, we got, that's just combining them and him. Them. You know? I went to a movie with them the other night.
Interesting.
Last one, theirs, okay? It's just like theirs, but like also like hers. Theirs. That jacket's theirs. Yes, this just sounds like they, them pronouns, but with the new ultra-scientific method, we have them so they've combined he and she as well.
Maybe that's
Everybody gets you with the, them, theirs today.
That's what
yeah?
the person
Tips on how you can be a better intersex ally. When it comes to inclusive language, oftentimes people tend to use phrases like people with penises or people with vaginas rather than saying male and female or men and women. While this can absolutely be inclusive for trans people, unfortunately it's not always the most inclusive language for intersex people. My advice is to use language that focuses on function and not just form. That means focusing on the actual function that you're talking about, such as people who can get pregnant, people who can get other people pregnant, people who are at risk of testicular cancer, and so on and so forth. This is much more inclusive because there are intersex people who are born with a vagina but don't have a uterus or ovaries or an ability to menstruate. This is because some people that are born with a penis don't have testes. So it's much more inclusive to say what you actually mean than it is to use language that works around that.
I'm trying to phrase this nicely and I can't yell, but I want to. So, Black people and people of color in the queer community aren't seen by white queers as queer as they are. On almost every occasion where I've been discussing my queerness or my experiences with queerness with white gays, they speak to me in a condescending way and they treat me as if I am a straight person imposing on a queer subject because they don't see us as queer as them.
Wow.
Queerness is seen as something that is white and a way to compare oppression, and it's used to compare oppression. So it's impossible for white gays to see us as gay as them. The LGBTQ community has been used as a front to hide racism or to excuse racism. Do research on Black queerness, please.
Sounds like a big blanket statement. I don't think the community is all like that. What do we have going here? Loving the energy here regardless of what's happening.
Breathe out, non-binary, gender fluid, trans men and women too. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. We're black, we're white, we're Asian too. We're every color of the rainbow, we're me and we're you. Watermelon sugar pride, watermelon sugar pride, watermelon sugar pride, watermelon sugar pride. We're lesbian, we're gay, we're bi, we're trans, we're queer, we're queer, we're queer, we're queer. Watermelon sugar pride, watermelon sugar pride, watermelon sugar pride.
Wow, this is definitely creative. I'm loving the creativity. Wow. Alrighty, let's talk about it. First off, this was... Okay, words aren't going to do it justice to the experience because I really haven't had a chance to see too many of these new-aged woke TikToks. So definitely taken aback because it was just all new stuff to me. Not saying I disagree with it, not saying I agree with the stuff. I do want to preface by starting off with continuing what I was saying earlier, which is this whole idea of wokeness, right? I think, and again, if you have a different perception about this, would love to hear and have you comment down below. Wokeness really comes down to being open-minded And I think it really focuses on the how aspect, not the what, right? Just because you are, being super talkative about these social issues and political issues and are super liberal. Again, here's the thing. I don't think being liberal as viewed by society or even being conservative is necessarily being woke. Wokeness isn't found in any of those identifications. If anything, the awakening, or what wokeness really stems from, is the idea of realizing that you are actually not this body or you're not this mind. And all these false sense of ideas that we have about ourselves that we tend to identify with tend to cloud that real version of us. And when we start realizing that these are not who we are really, that is the awakening. That is getting quote unquote woke. So whether you identify strongly with your masculine body and you're, a bodybuilder guy and whatever, you love Trump, I don't care. Or you're a super liberal, Bernie loving person from the LGBTQ community who just talks about that stuff all the time. It doesn't matter. You can be like that, or you can be like the other person who in this case are polar opposites. But the point here is it's about the how you do things, right? Not the what. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, especially with the earlier TikToks, it was super interesting because of the level of aggression. I think aggression is not the best way to go about trying to bring about change within society. And I'm not here to virtue police the community, by no means. I'm just here, again, sharing the views that I have from what I've seen. Do these people represent the whole community? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not anyone here to judge and say that. In fact, I don't think they do, right? Because these are just a few TikTokers. The point here is that at the end of the day, any identification is going to limit you in terms of exploring your true possible nature of this human beingness, whatever you call yourself, right? Doesn't matter. I don't care what you call yourself. But there is a deeper nature of this beingness that can be explored. Now, at the same time, and to be fair, a lot of this anger and emotions that's present within these communities, I think can definitely be understood, especially because of how I think a lot of the old school conservative cultures that tend to put these things down and hush about it, and there's a reason it's called coming out of the closet. I can see now why it's essentially all this vent up anger that's just coming out. And so I would urge and encourage folks on, let's just say, the right. I'm just using these just to get my point across, to simplify what I'm trying to say. Those folks on the right who are not open-minded about these communities, to be more understanding as to why there's anger in the first place, right? It's not just a bunch of angry people complaining about their problems. Maybe there are some in that pool. I'm not going to say that it represents everyone, but I think with reasonable just awareness, we can come to realize that there is a lot of pent-up anger, and especially when you've been trying to hide and control your nature, which is your sexual orientation or the way you want others to see yourself. Long story short, when that's covered up for a while, it's just kind of natural for that venting to lead to expression, and maybe that expression isn't the most conscious. And that's where my advice would now come towards those in the community who are a part of this community. Again, please don't take this the wrong way. I would encourage you to please stand for what you are, and I don't think anyone has a right to judge, or people have the right to judge, but people don't have the right, or I don't think it's conscious or just kind, right, for them to shun you or to put you down on what you believe in. That's not cool. At the same time, this word of pride, right, whether it's American pride, whether it's gay pride, whether it's self-pride, all three, I think, can be harmful, because at the end, pride is the over-importance to the ego, which is the false sense of self. I want you to really question yourself as to who you are. It's actually one of the deepest questions of spirituality. There was a sage who actually even got enlightened from this by just truly questioning and keep on thinking and thinking of who he is. Who am I? You are not your gender. You are not your race. You're not your sexual orientation. You're not your nationality. All these things are just stickers. I'm not saying you can't have a sexual orientation. I'm not saying you can't be gay. I'm not saying you can't be American. Being prideful of these things, which are not really who you are, that is where you should be careful. And that is why I'd encourage the use of the word celebration versus pride. So American celebration, gay celebration, we should all celebrate it. These are things to be, again, that's where these words can be a little, I was about to say prideful about, but I think words, here's another quick thing, right? Words are significant but not important. What I mean by that is what we say and how we say things, especially the how we say things, can really have a huge impact on the way we think, right? Especially the subconscious programming of how we talk. A very simple question of, how are you, or how is it going? What does it even mean? So we know what that means because we're so used to saying it, and it's just the reflection of society on us. But how is it going? What is that it representing? What is going? Again, not to be a word, you know, freak here. It's just to raise awareness to how significant the words can be. But when I say that these words shouldn't be important, what I mean by that is, at the end of the day, they are just words. Literally just words. To take offense or to take anything personal is not going to do you justice. Now, this doesn't mean that you should not correct people. If you would prefer a different pronoun, please go about doing that. There's nothing wrong with that. If you would prefer they, them, or whatever, as the TikTok said, they, them, all these cool words. I mean, at the end, it's your preference, and if that's what you choose to want to be called, that's fine. But I think the key here, again, is the how you go about doing that, right? If you're going to be venting with anger and shoving that down people's throats about, you gotta call me this, or I'm going to punch you. An exaggeration here. That is not going to be the most clear path to take. Now, hopefully whatever I'm saying here is not going to come off as too controversial or even my views being one-sided. Again, I really do want to emphasize, I want to celebrate these things and these communities and all sorts of diversity. I think it's a beautiful thing, and that's what makes us human. But at the end of the day, I just don't or wouldn't encourage us to be prideful or to be identified with anything that isn't really us. And I would love to hear what you think about what I've shared about this TikTok. Any views from the TikToks in general, whether you agree or disagree with me, comment that down below. And yeah, again, I really value open discussion, right? So instead of just like blocking or canceling me if you don't agree with what I'm saying, I really don't think that's productive, and I'm really not a fan of that. And I just don't think it's going to lead to any discussion or growth. So yeah, please share your honest opinions or views on, again, whatever I'm saying. Agree, disagree, don't forget, comment down below. If you made it this far, hit that like button, would really mean a lot and help the channel, just in general, and getting this wisdom across to the others. And thank you so much. I really appreciate you for being here. And with that, if you have any other video reaction requests on TikToks, on the woke ones, regardless, anything, comment down below. With that, make it a great day, take it joyfully, and stay conscious. XCL.